Hey everybody, it's Lou Cardillo.
Dominic DiFilippo.
Joe Massaro.
And this is Joe Massaro. He's the owner of Petra Island and the Frank Lloyd Wright house. Joe, awesome seeing you today. Thank you for having us out here.
Yep.
I've known you a long time and I appreciate you giving us a tour of your beautiful island. And it's a beautiful, gorgeous day today. I mean, the weather can't be any better. So we're taking Joe's pontoon over to the island and I'm gonna ask him a few questions along the way and then we'll get showing you the island. So, Joe, let's talk a little about how you found the island and how this all started, how this passion of yours started and how the vision come together.
Okay, when I was 16 years old, my friend had a boat at this marina here. And we grew up in Elmsford, New York, about 25 miles south of here. And so on the weekends, we'd come up here and we'd water ski around all these rich people's houses, you know? And every weekend we would water ski. And one day I'm water skiing, I'm on the skis, and it was just the two of us. And the way you got to water ski is you knock the other guy off the skis.
Yep.
Then it's your turn.
Yep.
So I was up skiing, and he flipped me out right in front of the island. And he went to come and pick me up, and all of a sudden he sees me standing in the middle of the lake up to my knees. There's what they call Sunken Island out there. I never knew it was there.
Yeah.
And it's a small island right off of Petra Island. So we fell in love with the lake. The lake is 640 acres of spring-fed water. It's the largest natural lake from here to Lake George. And there's 3 islands on the lake. One island over here is called Ferry Island.
Yeah.
That's connected with a bridge.
With a bridge, yeah.
You know, the circus came to Carmel. The first elephant ever came into Carmel. And they used to store exotic animals on that island at one time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's 2 other islands. One is a 44-acre island. There's no houses on it, and people have campsites. And the other one is Petra Island, and that's 11 acres. And when I used to ski around it, there was a cottage built by Frank Lloyd Wright in 1950 on the island. But you never could get on the island because they had dogs, two shepherds, and the dogs would come right in the water after you, so you knew to stay away from the island. And so I ended up coming up to Mahopac. At 21 years old, I got married and couldn't afford a house in Elmsford. So I bought a house up on Lovell Street, a little high ranch, you know, and that's where I raised my family. And my office was in Peekskill. It was easy, 12 miles to go to work. And for years, I looked for a piece of property on the lake to build. I could never afford one. They were running about 50,000 an acre at the time. I couldn't touch it. So one year I came out with the realtor and we looked at pieces and they're out of my reach. And he said, I have one other piece. And he takes me over to West Lake Boulevard. And weeds are about this high. It looked like a swamp. And I walked in a little trail and I found a milk box. And I stood on it and I saw this beautiful view of the lake and a little waterfall right there. And it was owned by the synagogue. Somebody had donated it. And they had a good price on it. And I bought it right there. The guy says, you're buying a swamp. Okay? I put one drain around the whole land, 2.5 acres I bought for $35,000. And I built my house in 1980. And we still have the house. My wife lives there, and now I live on the island. And we meet for dinner now and then. So one day, with a bunch of guys on the boat, I had a friend that lived in this little house over here. And we're having cocktails and everything. When I went by the island, I said, I think I'll buy the island. And everybody laughed, and I laughed. Then I heard that the guy who owned the island was in financial problems. So I took a little note, wrote it on a piece of paper, put it in a plastic sandwich bag and taped it to the fence just before the dogs came after me. And that note was there for about 4 weeks. I didn't hear. I left him my telephone number, nothing. So one day I was on my wave runner and I go by and I see the guy standing on the dock. So I pull over and I start talking to him. Found out he was from North Korea, this guy. Not South Korea, North Korea. And he walked out of North Korea through 7 checkpoints. And he was a soldier and never got caught. So I said to him, my wife and I had bought another house on the other side of the lake here, and we renovated it over the years. And when it finished renovation, the market fell apart. So we're stuck and I've got it rented. What a pain in the neck. So I said to him, maybe you'd be interested in taking a house with some cash for the island. And he said, yeah, I'd be interested in that. So I have my wave runner. I said, when, you want to see it tomorrow? He says, I can't, I'm going back to California tomorrow. I said, you want to see it now? He said, I'll see it now. I'm not going to put him on my wave runner. So I jump on my wave runner, go back to the house, and I say to my wife, come on, get on the boat, we're going to go buy an island. What are you, crazy? She gets on the boat, we pick him up, bring him over to the house, And he's complaining about everything. And my wife says, oh, he don't like it. I said, Barbara, he's negotiating. I know what he's doing, you know? So when he comes back on the boat, we don't have a piece of paper or pencil to exchange telephone numbers. So I said, we'll go back to my house. My wife will get us paper and pencil, and we'll be all set. So I go back. She goes up to get the paper and pencil, and I closed the deal before she came back. I bought the island on the spot. So she stayed there. I dropped him off, and I got on the boat, and I'm going home. And I said, what am I going to do? I just bought a friggin' island. What am I going to do with an island, you know? But I fell in love with the island. I mean, the cottage was there, and I had no intention of building anything out
Right,
there.
I was just going to ask you
no
that,
intentions at all. But I spent my weekends in the cottage, you know. I had an 11-acre island. It was just magnificent. And so did that for a few years.
So the plans for the house, you found them on the island, they were part of the island, did you know anything about that? How did that all come about?
I knew about the house because I had friends who knew the owner of the island before this guy.
Right.
And they had taken me out to lunch because they're trying to raise money to build that house out there. It was some group together. I think they were scam artists, tell you the truth, because they scammed this poor Korean into putting all that money in.
Oh my goodness.
And they left him with the island. He couldn't pay back. That's how he got stuck with it, you know. So I went out to lunch one day, and I saw the plans, but I paid no attention to them. I had no interest in it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I've lived in the cottage for several years, and 2001, Pennsylvania Power Light came in and negotiated with me on my business. They wanted to buy my business. And part of my sales pitch was, you buy my business, I'll stay on board and run this and other companies you buy. Halfway through negotiation, they came to me and said, we have a problem. What's the problem? They don't want you. They don't think you're corporate material. So what's that mean? What's that mean? It means they want to give you a check and you're gone. Okay, let's do it, you know? So they paid me off. I had 350 union workers working for me that day one. Day two, I have nobody working for me. So I buy an SL 500 Mercedes, right? And I head to Florida because I have a townhouse in Florida. All by myself, all the back roads. It took me 5 days to get down there. Wow. And I spent the next couple of weeks on the beach with no telephone ringing. It was just amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. But when you're type A like this,
I got you. You gotta do
all
something.
of a sudden I'm getting bored. So I had another company, a software company. I bought another building in Fishkill, and I moved my software company, and I duplicated my office. The one I had in Peekskill, I duplicated it there. I got Donna to go to work for me for the 6th time. You know? I fired her 3 times, she quit 3 times.
She's single, by the way.
Yeah.
Give a little plug.
Yeah. So she came to work for me, and I spent about 2 months in that office, and I said, I can't do this. I called my son-in-law up, who was my partner. I said, I'm moving the operation to Boston, you're running it, I'm out of it. You know, I just do consulting and stuff like that. So then I said, well, what's the chances of me building this house out here? So I'm in the locker room one time with Bill in Spain.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Bill Spain, a nice guy. He's a friend of mine.
Very nice guy.
And I was talking to him in the locker room. He said, you know, Joe, I used to go on the island when I was a young boy. He says, it's okay if I go out on the island and walk around? Anytime, Bill. No problem at all. I said, Bill, what do you think the chances of the town let me build that house on the island? And Bill said to me, you know, Joe, there's an opening on the lake committee. If I gave you a recommendation, would you get on the lake committee? I said, yeah, Bill, I'd do that. He said, I think you got a good chance.
Oh my God.
That's how it started. So what my plan was just to go forward as far as I could go until they stopped me.
Right.
You know, they're never gonna let me build that thing. They got a 100-foot setback requirement. I need 40 foot. I need 140-foot variance, you know?
You gotta get approvals from New York State or anything? Or?
I get all sorts of approvals, you know, really. I mean,
and you had to sign some rights away. So if you could just show the island real quick, if we could just show it as we're coming up to it. You had to sign your rights away for like fire, police, garbage, all that, right?
Everything, yeah.
So basically,
So
that's why you made it out of concrete, I guess. No.
Yeah, right, yeah. So I had to sign all the rights away before the town to give me the permits. But then eventually, they handed me a building permit.
Yeah.
I said, now I got to do it. What am I going to do? Yeah. So that's when I started building it, you know. Well, my next job is, you know, to go out to bid. That's what I did. I was a contractor, so I knew the ropes, you know. So I went to the foundation, the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation, and I said to them, you know, I want you guys to design this. I want you to build it. And we had the drawings. I got copies from the drawings. All I got was 3 8.5 by 11 pictures of the original drawings. They didn't know where the original drawings were.
Right.
So I took them drawings on a magnifying glass and I expanded them and made a set of drawings myself. And then I needed some renderings to go to the board meeting, right? So I had 3 beautiful renderings made.
Yep.
They cost me $5,000, and part of the deal was you'll take the $5,000 off the price to do the architecture work. So now when we go to the building meeting for the town, you know, if there's a lot of people in the meeting, you're in trouble. We walked in, there was 100 people at the meeting. My lawyer says, we're done. And had these things sitting on an easel, covered up. We find out they weren't there for me. They were there for somebody else.
Oh, thank God.
So I get up, and Harold Gehring is the
yeah.
It's like Harold's a friend of mine.
Oh, great guy.
Yeah. So we start our presentation, and I unveil the picture of this. It's the side view, and the audience, you can hear him take a breath. You know. So Harold opened it up to public talks. Yeah. And nobody said anything. He dropped the hammer and closed the meeting. Wow. That was it. You know.
What year was that roundabout?
Pardon me?
What year was that roundabout?
Around 2003.
Okay, yeah.
So now I'm trying to work with the foundation, you know, looking to get some pricing on them, and I can't get a price out of them. It takes me about a month. What's the matter, you guys? Finally, the guy called me. He said, you got to sit down. He said, you're not going to believe this. What? They want $450,000 to do the drawings. He says, and that's not all, he says. Any detail they put on the drawing, you got to do, no matter how much it costs. And I said, whose house is this, theirs or mine? Yeah. So I started analyzing. I said, look, it's going to cost me $100,000. Well, the next thing they do is, which really made, the guy says to me, you can't build a house unless you use us. We own the copyright. You know, not only that, but the night before the meeting, they sent a letter to the town and told them don't approve it. Now,
really?
That pissed me off.
Oh.
I'm a little mad now.
That would be.
So I had just lost a big lawsuit on a patent infringement with a big outfit in the city who was their lawyer. I said, they were good enough to kick my butt. Let me call them, see if they want to take the case, you know? So I called them, and they said they couldn't take the case, conflict of interest.
Conflict, yeah.
So Ed Barnett comes out, you know Ed.
Yep.
He came out with his wife and his daughter's boyfriend, who was a music copyright lawyer.
Oh, wow.
Whose hobby was architecture copyright.
Really?
I sat down and talked to him, right? And we had a nice conversation. He says to me, we can beat them. So my usual way of doing things, which is, you know, really going into the details, I hired him on the spot, you know? And he says to me, what we're going to do is we're going to sue them, he said. But we're not going to go after the copyright for this. We're going after all the copyrights. That's going to get their attention.
Wow.
So we filed a lawsuit against them. They tried to get it moved from New York to the south, and the judge says, where's the house? Here, so we're going forward. So my lawyer calls me and he says to me, they want to talk to you one more time. And he says, don't go for more than $50,000 because that's what it's going to cost us to fight it. So this new president calls me up. And by the way, in between, I figured it's going to cost me $100,000 to sue him and $100,000 to get another architect. I offered them $200,000.
Yeah.
And they turned me down.
Wow.
Do you know what this would have done to them? This would have put them back on top.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a house built by Frank Lloyd Wright on the property it was designed for 60 years.
Yeah.
You know? So the guy calls me up, he says, what's going on? I give him the whole story. He said, geez, my people were pretty stupid. Yep, so we resolved it, him and I. So I called my lawyer up and said, I said, it's resolved. He said, how much did it cost you? I said, nothing. He said, what do you mean nothing? Nothing. I said to the guy, you leave me alone, I leave you alone. Right?
Perfect.
So they hate me ever since I beat them.
Of course, yeah.
They hate me, you know, yeah. They won't recognize the house. Now, I have a book in the house, which I'll show you, where Frank Lloyd Wright says, when he finishes the house on the island, it'll be more beautiful than its falling waters. Yeah. This was his favorite house.
Yep. So now they're making you say it's like Franklin.
Well, yeah, that was part of the deal. Yeah,
like
and I say, here's my answer to that. I was inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright to build his masterpiece just like he designed it.
Perfect.
There you go. Yeah. He inspired me. And when I finally got I hired an architect who did all Frank Lloyd Wright's works. So it was him and I hired, you remember the woman Lydia to work, she built a lot of houses around here?
Yeah.
Yeah. She ended up being my contractor.
Awesome.
Polish woman, smart as hell.
So quick question on Franklin Lloyd Wright, in case people don't know who he is or what he's about. So just give us a quick synopsis on how he builds because I know it, but I want you to say.
Yeah, I mean, he's an organic builder. He builds with nature. He'll never take a house and put it on. He'll never take a house and put it on top of the hill. He'll put it in the brow of the hill.
Right.
You know, he'll make it disappear in there. He'll use everything that comes on that island naturally, and that's what he did with the cottage too.
But what about the part that spans out over the water? You know, people say that's an engineering marvel because
It is.
look how long it is, right?
It's the largest cantilever he ever
Cantilever, that's
designed.
the
We
word
don't
for
know
it.
if he could have built it back in '49.
Right.
You know.
So how
But
long is that cantilever?
It's 75 feet from, but you know, it's got a pier in between, so it's like 27 feet actually standing by itself.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see that when we get to the island, but
Yeah.
that's actually, when you drive by the island,
Yeah.
it's like, whoa,
Yep.
how's that even standing?
So I built the house like Frank Lloyd Wright was here and alive.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the only goal. I didn't need another house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wanted to build his masterpiece. I mean, it's going to be here for hundreds and hundreds
Oh,
of
yeah,
years.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you've done, so outside of you living here, so you live here full-time, part-time, or?
I live here all summer.
All summer, yeah,
And I live
perfect.
in Florida in the winter. Yeah.
And then what else have you done with the house when you're not here? You've rented out for parties?
I have not. I keep everybody off my friggin' island. So stay off my island, you know. But now I'm going to start looking to start making the island start to help pay for itself. But we're going to be very selective, very high end. That's what we're going to go after. We don't need to do a lot of them out here. But a
So
few
the other
movies-
name for the island is called Heart Island?
No, it's
Where'd that
Petra
come
Island.
from?
But the island, if you look at the island, it's a perfectly
Shaped as a
shaped
heart.
heart. Perfect.
When you guys do the drone later, you'll see the
Yeah,
shape
you'll
of the
see
heart.
it. It's short. The heart shape is just, you just know it's heart shaped. I didn't know that for a long time.
Yeah.
Until I saw it from up
From a
above.
drone.
You wouldn't know it until you saw it. I had one guy come out here, one guy that talking about auctioning it off, and he said, everybody's saying that you enhance the island to make it look like a heart.
A heart.
I brought him over to where the heart comes in.
Yeah.
I said, you see them trees? I'd have to be 200 years old to do that.
Yeah, right.
That's the other thing about the island. The island itself is magnificent.
Yeah.
It's old growth.
Yeah.
There's no old growth around here.
Right.
These trees are over 250 years old.
Yep. So how is it walking around, hiking the island, everything?
I
looks
have a
beautiful.
trail all the way around, and I have a trail right through the center.
Nice.
And yeah, it's really great walking. We're going to take a walk around.
Cool.
Yeah.
So rumor had it back a few years ago that Brad and Angelina were buying
Yeah.
the island. What's that all about? Is that
Okay,
true?
so that's a great story.
I'm asking you all the questions.
That's a great story. So I went on a poker cruise to Australia, okay? So I'm in Australia, and I have no cell phone out there. So I get back to Sydney, and I call home, and my wife says to me, did you sell the island? She says, you can't sell the island. I own half of it. I said, Barbara, I'm the president. I can sell the island. But I didn't.
Get that straight.
But I didn't. She said, everybody's saying you sold it to Angelina Jolie because Brad Pitt loves Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yep.
Now here's how they put it together. My architect was Brad Pitt's architect.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay? When I went to Australia, Angelina Jolie was in
Can you show
Australia.
the house while we're talking? Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. Angelina Jolie was in Australia,
Yep.
so everybody put it together.
Oh, now you were down there making a deal.
So they couldn't get any information, and they're flooding Donna's cafe. All the reporters are coming in, and she's busy as hell. So when the rumor dies down, and I come back, and I said to Donna, "Get in the car." She said, "Where are we going?" She said, "Never mind, get in the car." We went up to Danbury, and I rented a helicopter.
Yeah.
And I flew over the lake and landed on the roof again. It started all the rumors again.
So, by the way, there is a helipad on the roof of this island.
Yes.
Of this island house as well.
Yes. Now, how that happened was the town wouldn't give me an answer on a helipad. They just wouldn't give.
I've never seen it before.
Well, yeah, never heard of it before. So there's nothing in their documents about a helipad. So I hired a consultant who said to me, "Look, if there's nothing in their documents, we go to the FAA." So we submitted to the FAA, and I had this old guy come out from the FAA who was a Air Force guy, right? And I showed him where I wanted to put the helicopter pad, and he said, "Looks good to me." So I have a FAA approved. It's New York 96. Any map, it's shown on it.
So it has like the markings of the
Everything.
weight and everything.
Yep,
And
yep. Welcome to Petra Island. We landed here on the dock of Petra Island. This dock is cantilever like everything else on the island. It's done that way because when the ice comes and starts to move away in the spring, it rips most docks away so that ice does not touch this. And it's done with a 40-foot piece of steel going all the way back into the staircase.
Wow.
That's how we did it. So come on up. Little details you'll notice is like the handrail. It's a triangle like everything else on the island.
Yep.
This is one of the decks here with the house. And this is a reflector pool. And the rocks you're looking at are 500 million years old. And they're the base of the Adirondack Mountains. And you can see as the glacier came across, the grooves it put in the rocks.
Wow.
We had 2 miles of ice over the top of this during the glacier period.
2 miles of ice over this.
Yep.
Wow.
And that's what formed the ice, and that's the island and the lake.
Right.
Yeah. So we're going to start in the cottage. The cottage was designed in 1950 and built in 1950.
So this is pretty much the only thing that was here was the cottage?
Yes. In 1949, Frank Lloyd Wright was working in the Guggenheim Museum. A man named Cerruti bought the island at auction. And the reason he bought the island, he wanted Frank Lloyd Wright to design him a house. So he got a hold of Frank Lloyd Wright at the Guggenheim and said, design your masterpiece and I'll build it on the island. He showed him the pictures of the island and a topographical map of all the rocks and everything. So Frank Lloyd Wright designed the house that we're going to see later. When he was finished with the preliminary design, he called Mr. Cerruti to come to Arizona. And he took a train and went to Arizona. And he looked at the drawings and he said to Frank Lloyd Wright, the house is too big. Can you make a smaller version? Frank said, if I changed it, it's going to mess it up, but he made him a smaller version. Then he said to Frank Lloyd Wright, the town won't let me build it. Design me my guest cottage first. I'll build the guest cottage, and then after that, the town will let me build it. Now, when I finished the big house, Mrs. Cerruti was still alive. She was in her mid-90s, and she came out to the opening house. And she said to me, my husband never intended to build that house. He wanted to suck Frank Lloyd Wright into designing this cottage. So Frank designed this cottage and it was built in 1951. And it's all redwood, concrete. Come on in.
This is all original? All this wood here, or did you redo
All the
it?
wood's original, yes. The table is not, it's a copy of the original table. Everything was stolen out of here at some point in time. But he uses a grid system to build his houses. The first thing he does on his drawing is lay out a grid system, then he puts all the walls on the grid system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how he builds it.
That's understandable.
This is a 3x3 grid system in this one.
Yep.
Now, when the carpenters came out here to build this roof, they looked at the plans and they walked off the job. They said, this roof will never stay up. They can't build it, it's impossible. They finally came back and built it. Now, Frank Lloyd Wright actually came out here during construction, and on the end of that point of that cantilever roof, there was a 4x4. Mm-hmm. He looked at it, what's that? He said, that's holding up the roof. He grabbed the sledgehammer and knocked it out. And the roof dropped down 2 inches, and that's where the roof belongs. And this roof has been here since 1951.
Holy.
Yeah, yeah. It has 2 fireplaces. This is the living room, and this is the master bedroom here. Back-to-back fireplaces. Wow. It's all open architecture. Yeah.
Very cool.
There's 2 bedrooms in the back.
Mm-hmm.
A small bathroom. And a kitchen. He raised a family here.
Mm-hmm.
The kids went to school from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went to school from here?
Yeah, they took a boat to town. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So when I bought the island, this is what was here. And funny thing here, just one point. All these doors here were wrecked, okay? When I got here, they're all just falling apart. So it was the end of the season. I took them all home. I finished them, put them together, and I brought them back. Now, I bring these back and I go to set them in place, and I can't close this. There's an opening here. I can't close it. I took it apart 4 times, and I still can't close it. Then I come over here and look. It's made that way so this cabinet falls in there when I open it. That drove me crazy.
I see that now on this side.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it all stacks over here.
Yeah, yeah.
Very cool.
One of Frank's signature things was hiding the front door. Here, he squeezes you into this tiny opening, and that's what he loves to do. He's almost claustrophobic as you walk in. Everything's built around this rock here. We call it the whale rock because it looks like a breaching whale. You notice my sundial? Yeah, my sundial. Yeah, it only works during the day.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So come on in. So this area he calls the patio. Frank Lloyd Wright definitely would put a patio inside. Here I can open all these doors up and you're living inside and outside at the same time. The rock goes right through the entire house. Now, here you see a grid system on the floor. This is a 5x5 grid pattern. For me to put this house exactly where Frank wanted it, I got to find the first grid line. And he gave me it. He gave me that grid line off of this notch in this rock. It's shown on the drawing. That gives me my first grid. That lays the whole house out exactly where he wanted it.
So when you say it's a 5x5 grid system, does that mean that this is 5 feet, that's 5 feet?
This
and
is
that's
5
feet?
foot from this line to that line, and 5 foot from that line to that line.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
how it all interlocks
Yeah,
together.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
All right, and you'll see all the doors are on the grid line.
Everything's on the grid
Yeah.
line, exactly.
Now, if you look at the skylight here, the skylight's on the same grid line. Now, that's all poured concrete.
Right.
We poured all the concrete here on the job site. All the wood you see is African mahogany. All the windows and doors were made in Connecticut. The interior doors were made in Chicago. For me to build this house, I don't know how it would have been done without the internet because I bought product across the whole country.
Wow.
And the key is getting the product here timely. You know,
course,
you
yeah.
can't block up the construction, but that's what I did. That was my job.
That was your job, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to go through into this room first. Come into the library. In here, I want to show you, we have Lutron lighting system in here. So every room I can light up like this. I can light it up nice and subtle
Yep.
or brighten it up.
Yeah, cool.
Every room. Same with the down lights, the recess. We also have lights on the benches.
Oh, yeah.
So the library and this cabinet here, Frank Lloyd Wright designed me a cabinet for my 70-inch TV in 1949. But actually, this cabinet is shown on the drawings. And what they used this cabinet for back then was movies. He loved projection movies.
Oh, projection.
Yeah, so you can close that all up. Now, this is the only angle on the whole island that's different than this triangle. My architect could not figure it out why. And, you know, I said, we're going to build it that way. So now, one day I'm sitting here watching TV and the sun's setting, it hits that wall, and that wall doesn't touch my screen.
Oh, my goodness.
I call my architect up, I know why.
Wow.
But you look at the woodwork here. I mean, these guys were all from Poland. My crew was from Polish crew, and they were excellent. They were carpenters, electricians, plumbers, whatever you needed to do, they do. So starting from this point out, we're cantilevered.
So we're walking into the cantilever right now.
There's 6 fireplaces in here, wood-burning fireplaces. The windows, Frank Lloyd Wright says, are like musical notes. That's how he. Now I look at them. To me, each window is a separate picture. You know?
All right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And the picture changes.
You're right in the
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah. Now these are all copper panels. Okay. All the metal work you see, that's the metal work. All this metal work I installed myself on the job site. Now the pattern is shown on the drawings, and what the pattern represents is waves in the lake.
Oh, yeah.
He always had some theme of everything. Each deck has its own view.
Yeah, and very different.
Oh, unique pieces.
I found this wood coming up from North Carolina.
Oh, yeah?
And the bench you saw out there too, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Elephants above us?
Plumbing?
The helipad's above us?
Yes, over there. We'll go up on the roof
I'll
later.
walk up there.
This is the dining room. Another fireplace, and that rock going right through,
Yeah.
continuing. Into the kitchen.
So you did not have to chisel any rock
Yeah,
whatsoever?
we did.
You had to chisel some of it.
Yeah, we had a chisel.
Here?
Here, yeah. We had to chisel all this rock.
Oh, okay. I
continue,
said the
yeah.
right time.
Yeah, well, he knew that.
Yeah.
He shows this on the drawing.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, the countertops
That
are
is a
concrete.
visionary.
Yeah, and he didn't see this place before he came here. He looked
Yeah.
at the topographical map.
Wow.
Yeah. As a matter of
Serious?
fact, I hired a new surveyor, and they did another topographical. The first one done in 1949 was better than
The new one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All the cabinetry shown on the drawings.
That was
Concrete countertops, concrete ceiling.
Everything, concrete, stone, yeah.
Yeah.
And all the concrete mixed here.
Mm-hmm.
Here is the original drawing. And you
Wow.
can see the notch in that rock right there. See
Oh,
it?
correct. Yeah.
That's where the front door is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you look at the elevations, you'll see this bench there
Mm-hmm.
and the bench on the other side. And if you see, you can see the pattern in here. You have to find a spot, but as you can see the pattern in the copper in here. And this is the other view. Piece of art. But these drawings don't exist. We can't find them anywhere. They'd be worth a couple $100,000 if you had the
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a you are here sign? Just kidding.
You are here.
Here's a bathroom, guest bathroom.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, I like how the stone comes right into there.
There's 3 bedrooms back here. There's this one, and this has a rock in it also.
Is this considered the master?
No,
They have another bedroom.
yeah. This bedroom here has its own fireplace, its own little balcony. Now,
This for the grandkid you like?
the Donner's room. Yeah. So Frank Lloyd Wright, Mr. Schrudy's told Frank Lloyd Wright, when you design my new house, put the bedroom, my bedroom, away from them kids, because the other house was so open, they had
Yeah.
no privacy.
Yeah.
So Frank says, I'm going to design you, your bedroom will be an island within the island. And so the master bedroom's on the other side of the house.
Ooh, I like that.
I'm excited to see it.
Master bath that way.
In the master bedroom here.
Yeah, very nice. So let's talk about this book that you wrote called The Impossible Road.
Yeah.
The first
so-
seat in the. Go ahead.
Yeah,
You tell it.
yeah. It says, from the first seat in the dumb road of my own private island. And the book explains how bad I was in school, okay, and how I survived, okay, and some of the jobs I did and some of the things I did to make me survive. Like in 1980, I got involved in the 1980 Winter Olympics. The construction business was slowing down after the Carter years, so I had a friend in the Adirondacks in Lake Placid. He said, I can get you all the tickets you want to this. And everybody said, you can't get any tickets. So I built a village up there with 100 brand new trailers. Supplied the busing, tickets, housing, and TV dinners in every trailer. And before the Olympic Open, I had 2% sales. Excuse me. So I ended up opening a barbershop as a ticket office and did $450,000 worth of tickets living on the barbershop floor and survived it.
You ever went in helicopters in here?
I've had, yeah.
Yeah?
There's
Can you,
three
get
of
a,
them at
can you
least.
get a picture of me and Joe with the American flag behind us?
Say nobody aggressive.
Go 5 feet more, no sugar. I'll make sure you get that.
Yeah, you don't want to deal with barbers selling this house, I'll tell you that. Before I even went for thinking about the helicopter pad with anybody, I had my contractor put an extra inch of concrete in this area for that reason. And they all thought I was crazy, you know. You put it in there, we'll worry about it later.
Worry about it later.
Yep.
So the afterthought, the before thought was put the extra inch in case you were going to do the helipad.
Right.
And you put the helipad.
Yep.
Very smart.
Yep.
This is going to be the most expansive view of the lake of anywhere. It's
Right,
just
yeah.
absolutely insane.
Oh, the kids all come up here. 4th of July, they're all sitting on the roof.
Cool. The fall must be insane from
Yeah, yeah.
here. The winters are beautiful.
Yep. It really is a special
It is.
place, you know.
So how many acres is the island again?
11 acres.
11 acres.
We'll take a walk down there, down the trail.
Okay. So we just saw the house, saw the helipad, saw the cottage. Now Joe's gonna take us for a tour around the island. So how many acres is it again?
11 acres, depending on the tide.
That's awesome.
So there's a trail all the way around the island, and then there's several trails through the center of the island I just completed last year.
So you built all the trails, and then
Yeah.
you want to go around the island?
The one around the island was here when I bought it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to show you a very special place up here.
Let's go. I've heard that, and you're Italian, so I'm a little nervous.
You'll be okay.
I want to see an ice pick.
You see, they're all big trees. It's
Yep.
like a canopy. You don't have a lot of low stuff growing. Hey, look at the rocks. Look at that little
Wow.
amphitheater here.
I love this. Is that a mine right there?
No,
Oh.
just look, little cave.
Oh.
Would this be so amazing for a tennis court?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But you see how the woods are all open?
Yeah.
Did you get bit? But some people say this would make a nice amphitheater.
Oh, wow. That would.
Yeah. So this is one of the trails here. Quiet here, isn't it?
Yep. Very much so. What are these little flags for? Are they just stuck in the ground, or are they?
That's for my trail.
Oh, I got you.
That's where I had them clean the trail. We didn't cut any big trees, just little stuff.
Yep. How does it take to walk around the whole island?
It's almost a mile.
Okay.
I drive my truck through here.
That little,
Yeah, the little
Yeah.
four-wheeler. Great for motorcycles though, huh?
yeah.
Now, this is my oldest tree on the island. Dates back to 1769, older than the country.
Wow.
Wow. That's amazing.
That is pretty cool.
And you'll see a lot of them. These are beech nuts now. Beech nut, the roots can't go deep because of the rock.
Right.
So the roots go
Spread
way
out.
out. Yeah.
That's
Now,
cool.
I found the formula online to figure out the ages of it. Some of the trees I put tags on them for their age.
So what's the formula? Is it like a ring formula, or is it?
It's a growth formula. In other
Right.
words, you measure the tree
Yep.
and you use the formula for that type of tree.
Right.
That's a beech nut tree, so you have to go to a beech nut. If it's an oak tree, it'll be a different
So
formula.
you just by circumference.
Yeah, right. And that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. This is another beech nut right here. That's carved
Yeah.
in.
This one here? Yeah.
Who carved in there?
No, somebody did. It's not before my time.
Before your time.
Yeah.
Wonder if they're still together.
1992, right?
Yeah, 92.
Yeah.
And that concludes our tour of Petra Island, the Frank Lloyd Wright House, at Joe Massaro's private residence. I'm Lou Cardillo.
I'm Joe Massaro. Thanks for coming out. I enjoyed showing you the house.
And I'm Dominic DiFilippo.
Have a great day.